Yo, I did not even think they're gonna talk about Merc right now, and they're already talking about Merc. I just spoke about it. Like, yo, I'm killing this. Okay, let's keep going. Hey, how's everybody doing? This is a quick follow-up video on the Hyundai Heavy Industries deal that I posted about when it went live in Korea. Now, there's a little bit of a new news in regarding this deal. They made it clear, according to a person familiar with the arrangement who asked not to be identified. So definitely got snitches in the little crew. That there's the initial deal is a multi-year deal worth $25 million, which is great. I'm not surprised. If we remember the deal with Hyundai Oil Bank from early December, Palantir was buying $20 million of stock, and now they got a deal for $25 million. And add on top of that, they want to develop a joint venture to conquer the heavy industrials world, that sector, and bring this software offering to other players in the sector. So I just got a Google alert that, Bloomberg Technology posted a video with Shyam. So I think it's worth just checking out quickly together just to see what he's going to say, what it's all about. And let's get going.
So Shyam, how will this partnership work?
Thank you for having me, Emily. Yeah, this partnership is very exciting. It represents our first major expansion into Korea here. We're working with Hyundai Heavy here to drive the digital transformation of their entire business. This is the largest shipbuilder in the world. Just true feats of engineering, the scales of these ships that they're producing, a new ship every 8 months, and everything from how do I produce these ships better, faster, cheaper? How do I manage them in the aftermarket once we've sold them? And I think perhaps most exciting,
better, faster, cheaper, and managing them aftermarket. This is a big business model shift that you're starting to see a lot with a lot of OEM manufacturers. What they do is they sell their planes, their jets, their boats to the buyers, and then just say, okay, let's say fact that we'll let them go, and if there's something wrong and it's outside warranty, then they'll go fix it somewhere else. But now everybody's trying to bring those boats back home. Bring it back to Hyundai. We'll fix it for you. We'll do the servicing, because there is tons of money to be made in the aftermarket. And, I'm sharing this with my experience working on business jets in the past. So this is interesting. And, Pat, there's a lot of data to be gathered, when things start eventually having problems, or when such and such has hit its limit. Then with data, with information, then Palantir can trigger Hyundai to reach out to the customer and say, hey, you're gonna have this issue come up. It might be cheaper to do it now as opposed to waiting till the end and repairing the whole thing. So anyways, let's get into it.
Excitingly, how do we introduce autonomy into ship transportation today? 80% of all accidents are actually human error. And this is a big opportunity for the world, for commerce, for economies.
What does this mean for Palantir's business, and how will it help you expand internationally?
Well, it really builds on our track record of working with industrial companies. I would say Skywise, the aviation ecosystem that we built with Airbus, was quite.
Okay, I can't hold it in anymore, but it's pretty clear that someone has told Shyam to to tone down the enthusiasm, because the last time in the earnings call he went way too hard. I still appreciated it. I loved the energy that he brought, but it did turn off some people. Made it feel like a too much of a sales pitch. But now you could see he's holding back, like the real Shyam is like, oh, let me out, I want to go hard, but he's like very calm, he's keeping it collected, and he's just sticking to the facts. So it's nice. It's a different Shyam, but it's still good.
Quite revolutionary. It brought together the 15 largest suppliers in aviation with 150 airlines. It generates billions of dollars of value for the aviation ecosystem. We brought that to automotive, and we're super excited to bring that to the shipping industry, both on the manufacturing of ships, but also the transportation, the execution, the operation of these vessels as well, and all the participants in that ecosystem.
Well, and speaking of manufacturing, how are supply chain pains impacting Palantir and impacting your clients, given the number of industries that you touch, including now building ships?
As you know, Emily, we work across 40 different industries, and we've had a big role in helping companies with supply chains from the very beginning of the pandemic, like helping 3M produce PPE, helping keep hospitals open and running. One of the interesting realities now with Omicron is that you're seeing that it's not just about part availability, it's about people availability. You see that hospitals are struggling to have full levels of staffing. And that is actually, in a holistic sense, a supply chain problem. So we are helping people manage parts and people together. And I think a big part of that is companies are realizing that these kind of cute sayings of just in time or just in case, these are just cute sayings. The reality is that managing your supply chain is a software problem. And we are bringing that software to the front lines.
For real. He couldn't have said it any better. When I was going through university, yeah, just in time was the favorite lingo. You know, Toyota mastered it. Everyone was like, oh yeah, it's all about just in time. And you know, it's like anything that's good. It's good until it isn't. And when it isn't, do you have a backup plan? And a lot of people, you know, there's always pressure to manage your cash flows. So business leaders are always like, I don't want you to be plowing cash into inventory and parking it in the warehouse, you know, waiting for a just in case or a rainy day. It rarely happens. So there's a lot of pressure on the supply chain teams to really have a perfect and smooth just in time experience. But now, like with COVID, forget it. You have to throw that out the window. It's really about knowing where everything is, what time the parts are coming, is it on the truck, where is it right now, and how long is it going to take, because we have a workstation that's empty because that part has not come in yet, and we have 4 guys sitting around doing nothing, and they're only specialized in that little workstation. So that's like a common issue that's happening across many industries. So it's a really good point that he said, you know, managing your supply chain is really a software issue. And you know, SAP just doesn't cut it. You know, you can't have SAP and think everything is great. Like SAP won't be able to tell you where it is, what problem it's running into, how long it's going to take, is it stuck at the border. You know, you need an analyst who's always there, always on it. And that takes a lot of work, especially when you have a lot of critical components and a lot of moving parts in your manufacturing facility. So, you know, a comprehensive software offering that captures all these different data points, data sites, and integrates them for decision making is big. And the fact that Palantir is saying that they're going to be doing this on a huge, heavy industrial scale, where there's lots of moving parts, it goes to show they are becoming a critical player in this global supply chain, and that's what they're doing. They're sinking their teeth everywhere. You know, semiconductors, and now it's this heavy industrials for offshore engineering, for oil, for you know, building ships. So it's only you know, it's just the beginning.
To help them do that.
You actually have a partnership with Merck to try to address some of these issues, the chip.
Yo, I did not even think they're going to talk about Merck right now, and they're already talking about Merck. I just spoke about it. Like, yo, I'm killing this. Okay, let's keep going.
Shortage in particular. What are you learning from that?
Yeah, Merck is one of the largest suppliers of material to the semiconductor industry. And clearly the crisis in semiconductors now, we've worked with industrial companies as they kind of work around this. But Merck and Palantir are joining forces to address the problem head on, really thinking about how we optimize quality and yield and get the most out of the chips that we are producing, the silicon we are making, and get them to the most effective places. And part of being at CES for us here is to meet with the semiconductor manufacturers and start seeing how we can help them drive quality and results immediately.
You're at...
Wow, that's huge. So you have the COO, because, you know, the CES event in Las Vegas for me was always about new phones, new TVs, new, you know, consumer products. And here they're saying, like, they're, you know, the COO of Palantir and these big execs, these chief executives, are at CES to meet these semiconductors, companies, and to build a relationship. Cool.
CES actually this year, unlike many companies and executives that decided to present virtually, I know that EVs are a big theme there. You've also got a partnership with Bueno, which is a connected car platform. Where are you expecting to see the most innovations on the EV front? What are you looking ahead to?
I really think about it as mobility, broadly speaking, everything from autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, the connected vehicle data. You're seeing a big convergence there. And one of the huge themes it has for us has been leveraging the edge AI capabilities that we've been developing over the last few years. All of these connected devices are generating so much data. People are realizing that that's actually a problem. It's too much data to bring back from the vehicles themselves to the cloud. So how do you push the analytics to the edge? How do you start using those analytics in simulation? We think about the metaverse from a consumer's perspective most of the time, but really one of the more exciting applications are these digital twins, or as Wejo calls it, the meta twin that allows cities to look at and simulate what would happen if they changed how their traffic lights work based on this connected vehicle data that's streaming off, or allows EV manufacturers or AV autonomous vehicle companies to actually do more simulation to understand how they can get more safety under more environments and bring those to market more quickly. And we think there's going to be huge opportunity in that space. They launched their Neural Edge product at CES, and Foundry is a big part of that.
There's been some debate, Shyam, about whether CES should have moved forward in person at all, given the spike in COVID cases, and some skepticism in general about how relevant CES still is. What's your perspective on that, given you're there at the conference this year? How much value do you think it really still has?
We've seen great opportunities from being here. Of course, people are being very safe and taking precautions, and that's changed the ways in which people are engaging. But I still see a lot of cutting edge innovation, great opportunities to engage with partners and build the future together.
Now, we're speaking about a year now since Palantir went public. Just looking at the stock, dropped by about 21% over the year, underperformed the S&P. Do you see that turning around in 2022? What's your outlook ahead?
Big, fully loaded question. I wonder what kind of training he got to spin this question. I'm going to say we're building on value, we're building relationships, we're expanding revenues, and we're on track. Share prices move day to day because of macro factors and many other factors that are out of their control. But I'm going to see what he has to say. This journalist, she's bueno, she's good. She's asking the right questions, tough ones.
We guided in Q4 to 40% growth in 21. Pretty excited about that. Pretty excited about the fundamentals of the business. Over $400 million of cash flow is our guide. So I think the business is performing really well. And what we focus on is working our tail off to create value every single day. We're doing this for the long term. You think about a great company like Apple, they've been around 45 years. It took them 30 years to create the first $100 billion of value, 12 additional years to create the next trillion, and 3 years on top of that to create the subsequent 2 trillion. And so we plan to do this for a long time. We have a monastic focus on creating software that the world needs before the world knows it needs it. We plan to keep doing that, and we think that will be reflected in the long term.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that was a great video, honestly. I can't hold it against him. Okay, relax. So I can't hold it against him. He did a great job. A bit more tamed from his enthusiasm that he typically has, which I can appreciate. I can appreciate both sides. When it's time to do public speaking, you always give your best and you always adjust with feedback. So clearly he's adjusting a little bit to find his his mojo for the public speaking role that he has now, which is very front facing as the COO of Palantir. So that's it for me. I'm not gonna say much except guys, in the last day my subscribers went up big time, and I just want to thank everybody for being involved in that. thank you so much for always watching. Thank you for leaving your comments. I love reading your comments. Thank you for leaving your likes. And, you know, let's keep talking. Let's keep the dialogue open. I'm always going to be there. And that's it. Just quickly, the share price of Palantir, the share price of everything in the market is super volatile these days. I noticed that, you know, Palantir dropped big time in the past few days, few weeks, months. And, you know, I am so comfortable with that. It's not scaring me at all. Because obviously I invest with the money that I can afford to lose. I think everyone should stand by that. And B,
the shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
I don't really care about these day-to-day movements. You know, I'm looking at execution. Like, you need to hit these targets. You need to keep hitting and doing what you say you're gonna do. And I need to see the results. Right now, people are not comfortable. Everybody is so paranoid, right? Like, even if you have a green day, like it's so normal and all that. Even if you have a green day in any stock, in any market, people are like, when's the crash? When's the crash? When's the crash? You know? And today, some stocks corrected like big time, like 6-7%, 12-15%. So, you know, yesterday, I think Shopify dropped like 12%. So it's like, this is out of your control. Invest in companies that you believe in. Invest in companies that you've researched, that you feel comfortable in, you know, that you've watched a lot of research on YouTube and you've done your own due diligence and checked it yourself. Things like that. That's what you need to do. Do not, you know, buy high and sell low. Like, that's not the model. You should never do that. So you just buy, educate, research, and decide. Buy, educate, research, decide. That's it. You know, there's so much research you can do, so many alternative random information that you can collect regarding whatever stock you're following. So just keep that you know, keep that in mind, and keep a steady head. So yeah, that's it. Peace.